This story was sent to me by Bill Dixon, and I'm so glad that I found this candid picture of both Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris, because it just lets you know that these two are actually in cahoots with each other, and they definitely have a plan that's more like a scheme and an agenda. So this article that came from the Los Angeles Times is 2020. Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren capturing attention of black women voters. Now, this article is dated July 15th, 2019. I am currently reading that today. By the time you see it, it'll be a couple days later. What did I say in one of my recent posts? I said black women, they are going to try to work that little witchcraft on you to try to get you to vote for them because they know you are their base. They will not come to black men. And I'm glad they don't, because we see right through their crap. Remember, Professor Black Truth just did a video saying that black men have pretty much left that plantation. When will you do it? I swear, like, I don't know what will happen next year if they did like an exit poll and we see what the demographics is as far as voting goes, even if Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris lose, if they don't make it to the Democratic ballot, to see what the percentages is for black women. We already know for black men is going to be very low. I think we know I can foresee that already, because the numbers of the percentages of black women who voted for Hillary Clinton was very, very, very high. And speaking of high and dry, white women did just that when it came to the election, the last one, because that's exactly what they did with y'all, left you high and dry. But unfortunately, you still had some of them that tried to blame black men for the reason Donald Trump got elected. But whatever, I guess logic and numbers don't really mean anything. But all I'm saying is do not fall for the trick bag. Let me go ahead and read this article. Regina Banks' favorite presidential candidate is Kamala Harris, followed closely by Elizabeth Warren, followed closely by Harris. It depends on what time of the day you ask me who I'm feeling, said Banks, age 40, a policy analyst who lives outside Sacramento. In this large Democratic presidential field, it is Harris, a biracial former prosecutor. Now she's identifying as biracial. She's never even identified as that. Now she's in tune with her blackness. Now they're calling her biracial. The woman is basically a chameleon at this point. She's whatever she blends in within at the time. In this large Democratic presidential field, it is Harris, a biracial, quote unquote, I'll put the quotes there for him, former prosecutor who straddles the party's moderate and liberal flanks, and Warren, a white ex-professor turned unabashed progressive, who are increasingly capturing the attention of Banks and other black women. So we know that this Regina Banks person is a black woman. The candidates have taken distinct routes to appeal to this coveted group of voters. Harris, a senator from California, has leveraged past experiences such as being bused to school and joining a black sorority. That don't mean a damn thing. To form bonds with other women of color. There it is. That's the more fitting term for her, because that's what she likes to classify herself as a woman of color. Warren, a senator from Massachusetts, has used her raft of policy plans to portray herself as a can-do problem solver to address issues that deeply resonate with black voters, such as universal child care or student debt relief. By and large, pocketbook issues, the economy, jobs, wages, and motivating black voters, said pollster Ron Lester, who has done extensive research into the African-American electorate and presidential campaigns. Even as the two contenders have made substantial inroads with African-American women, they have distinct hurdles to clear, said Latasha Brown, co-founders of Black Voters Matter. Harris, she said, must better introduce herself to African Americans and ensure they really understand her role as a prosecutor. And see, that's the thing. We already know what she's done as a prosecutor, and that's one major reason why black people, especially black men, do not like her. And it's like we're trying to beat this into the heads of black women of why this woman should not be president, or definitely should not even be a Democratic candidate, but neither one of them are qualified, to be quite honest, if you ask me, because neither one of them really are speaking to us, if you want to be technical. This is which may give pause to some people skeptical of the criminal justice system. Warren has to convince people that she's able to beat Trump, Brown said. And although the two are well regarded by black women, many of those voters say that before they commit, they want politicians to show they recognize the importance of their support. We're really taking our time, listening carefully, said Amy Allison, a San Francisco Bay Area political consultant. We're not falling for the okie doke of getting behind a candidate early and trading away the influence we have. Polls have shown several candidates in position to capture the black vote. Former Vice President Joe Biden has demonstrated strength with African Americans, although recent surveys point to some drop in support after his strained exchange with Harris in the first Democratic debate. Harris has reaped the greatest benefit from Biden's decline, while Warren's backing among non-whites has hovered in the single digits. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont has also registered notable black support in certain polls. Harris's stock has risen overall in the weeks after the June debate, where in compelling personal terms she took Biden to task for his past opposition to busing as a means to desegregate schools. For some voters, the performance held an added layer of reliability. As a black woman, there are so many times when you're at the table and you're the only one, said Lakia Jackson, age 35, who watched the debate at a barber school in Goose Creek, South Carolina. The thought of a woman of color being a viable presidential contender, Jackson said, is so overwhelming that I'm tearful. It's so inspirational to see someone seizing the opportunity. She's authentically Kamala. She's authentically black. Oh, God. She is not authentic anything, and she's definitely not a black woman. At least not before she actually claimed to be black, which was anytime before January of this year. 10 days later at the Essence Festival, Harris was greeted warmly at the annual music and cultural celebration of black women that attracted more than 500,000 over the 4th of July weekend in New Orleans. Before an audience of thousands, Harris and the daughter of a Jamaican father who doesn't love her, or doesn't like her, an Indian mother, framed her presidential run as heir to the legacy of other barrier-breaking black women such as Sojourner Truth and Rosa Parks. The fight of black women has always been fueled and grounded in faith and in the belief in what is possible, Harris said. We have always built the future that we can see and believe and fight for. Among those listening intently was Ashley Smalls, who shares with Harris an alma mater, Howard University, and sisterhood in the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. In Harris's campaign platform, namely her plan to boost teacher pay, calls Small a science teacher to whoop an agreement. I've always followed her. I know about her achievements as Attorney General in California, the work she's done, she said, Smalls, beaming as Harris wrapped her speech. But when it comes to Smalls' loyalties, Harris has competition. I love Elizabeth Warren, said Smalls, 31 of Raleigh, North Carolina. I just love her spirit and her determination. Although many black women say they find Harris' candidacy inspiring, they're quick to point out that their allegiance is not tied to shared identity. We get boxed and framed as if race is the determinant, said Brown of Black Voters Matter. Race is only one determinant for us. We have demonstrated with the election of Alabama Senator Doug Jones and others that we will get behind a white candidate. Which, by the way, to the black women who voted in excessive numbers for Doug Jones, what has Doug Jones done specifically for you? Because that election was 2 years ago now? A year ago? I forget. And to be honest, I keep forgetting his name because he for me, he's just a faded memory. Like, he just fades into the background for me. Like, it's almost like he's real quiet. I need to know, is it black women? Is there any black female subscriber of mine that lives in Alabama? What has Doug Jones done for black women specifically, since that was the majority that got him in? I really need to know, because every time I ask that question, I just come up empty each and every time. Warren proved she could gain traction with black voters at an April conference of female political activists of color. She was a runaway favorite among multiple candidates, including Harris, and won high marks for her fluency in talking about racial discrimination in healthcare and housing. Allison, the political consultant who organized the conference, said Warren won the room when she described her audience as women who had never been given anything and who had to fight for all of their gains. And you know what's so crazy? Black people could be a black man could probably sit up right there and say the same exact thing, and they would probably look at him like he has two heads. But let a white woman get up there and say it. Oh my God, you are so right. You are definitely getting my vote now. The That's a kind of bridge building language. I see you. I feel you. I'm with you, Allison said. Although Harris has ties to significant black organizing forces such as the AKA sorority, activists say Warren also may be making inroads on the grassroots level, though methodical behind the scenes overtures. Alika Bernard, a Sacramento community organizer, was one of a dozen black women invited to meet with Warren in May after an Oakland rally. The photo op left a lasting impression. Even her staff wanted in on that photo. It was like a sister moment with Elizabeth Warren, said Bernard, age 31. As the flash went off, the crowd shouted in unison, black women, and the presidential candidate was the loudest of them all. Oh my God, this woman is so fake. It was so genuine. She said it was so genuine, but we see through her. She has a heart for black women. See, this is what I'm talking about right here. This is why it's so easy to sway black women, because they go based off of emotion. All they got to do is yell black girl magic and then they will fall at their feet. This is why I'm so grateful for the new black media. Shout out to Jason Black, the Black Authority, Professor Black Truth, Tariq Nasheed. Hell, I'm going to toot my own horn and give a shout out to my damn self. Shout out to Taureanreign Reloaded. Shout out to Lisa Cabrera, True Royal Family, Nicole's View, Phil over at, well, I was going to say the Advice Show, but I think it's called the African Diaspora Network, and a host of others who are actually seeing this for what it really is. Because this woman is not genuine at all, and I wish black women would understand that this woman is as fake as a $3 bill in a Monopoly board game set. Look at what she did to your men while she was a prosecutor. If you want know one thing about Kamala Harris, know this. When Oscar Grant got killed back in 2009, the man who killed him only served a year in jail. Probably I think 11 months. So it wasn't even a whole year. Kamala Harris was the prosecutor at that time when that happened. It was in part, her job to make sure that his ass should have stayed in jail for what he did, because that was murder. And in case y'all did not know, Oscar Grant was, you guessed it, a black man. I was being sarcastic because everyone should know about that story. If you watch Fruitvale Station, you know. Warren's brand, I've got a plan, is particularly appealing to black women who say they are weary of vague promises from politicians and are craving specific solutions. And you think you're going to get them from her? That's laughable. She anticipates some of the challenges that African Americans face, pollster Lester says, such as lack of access to child care. Both candidates have jostled to demonstrate they're most plugged into the concerns of black women. Harris in 2018 first introduced a bill addressing high maternal mortality among women of color. There she goes, women of color. That means specifically, she ain't specifically talking about black women. She's talking about, hell, people like her mother, Indian women, Asian women, Hispanic women, Arab women. For her, if she says women of color, black women could very well be dead last on her list. So you have to look for the specifics. Specifically, what is she going to do for black? Well, in this case, since she's catering to black women, what is she going to do for you? Now, let's see, what did I leave off of? Last fall, the Massachusetts senator proposed housing assistance to communities that historically suffered under the discriminatory housing policy known as redlining. Harris rolled out a similar plan in New Orleans on July 6th. See, they're just throwing this stuff out there, and I highly doubt any of that stuff actually gets done. Leave it up to them. I doubt it. And if it does, it'll be way at the bottom of their checklist. I see through all this crap. 5 other candidates joined Harris and Warren at the Essence Festival, where women said they were intrigued by New Jersey Senator Cory Booker's residency. I don't even know why Cory Booker even shows up to anything anymore. He's not even getting on the ballot. He might as well just drop out now. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, I hate that name, Buzzy Climb, Biden, who did not attend, Joe Jim Crow Biden, who did not attend the event, who had support from older women who liked his governing experience and his perceived strength against Trump. But for now, it's Harris and Warren who are getting the most mention. While they are so different, they are so much the same in how they're trying to speak to the generational issues that African American women face. And see, they're talking directly to them. Black women, I cannot stress this enough. Hear the sound of my voice. They are trying their hardest to pull you in, and they're not going to do anything for you. To be honest, if Hillary Clinton got in, she wouldn't have done anything for you either. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'd rather be the bearer of reality. These two right here are not going to give you or do anything for you. They are two peas in the same rotting pod. If you think they're going to go and do something for you, I have a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you for free. And to be honest, a lot of you are going out there to vote because y'all don't like Trump. Listen, I'm not a fan of the guy myself. But I still ain't going to go out there and vote for any one of them because they're not speaking to my interests. I'm sorry, they're not speaking to our interests. And for some reason, that makes me the bad guy. That's exactly why you had people like Simone Sanders who had to flap her fat gums back in February and saying that black men shouldn't speak about certain things when she was talking about Luther Campbell, Uncle Luke. She may have been talking to him directly, quote unquote, but that was an indictment on all thinking black men. With her tennis ball head ass. It says neither woman can claim that voting block as her own yet, he cautioned. At this point, Seawright said, I don't think one is passing the other on the political highway. That was kind of hard for me to get to that article because whenever I got to stop and give my assessment after every other sentence, you know, I'm like deeply invested into that. But after watching so many commentaries, especially from people like Professor Black Truth and Jason Black, Tarek Nasheed and so many others when it comes to this woman or just that DemoCRAPic party in general, it has opened my eyes to this. I wish it was a way that they could just sit black women down and force them to watch those videos so they can know who they are throwing their support behind. But you know what? Something tells me even if you did that, some of them, hell, most of them would still go out there and run and vote for her because, you know, they don't like Donald Trump. They could not have any good policy. They could be lying through their teeth, which to be honest, they are lying through their teeth, and they'll still vote for them because they don't like Donald Trump. If it's one thing that many of us are lacking, it's political tactics. I will say some of us are getting a little bit better in that department, but many need a boost to be led in the right direction. Shout out to those who see right through the smoke and mirrors. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I will talk to you in the next one.